When I was a kid, Cartoon Network was quite the place where you could go, not just for just your funny, wacky cartoons, but also for action-oriented shows, which is something Nickelodeon didn't have at the time. They didn't have something like Toonami where they would show anime. And I already talked about that here on the channel. But the Cartoon Network also had Samurai Jack, which was a favorite of mine. They had the Justice League, which I just binge watched a few months ago. That review is long overdue, guys. I apologize. But then, Teen Titans right here. Not only, yes, there have been shows based off of DC Comics before, but what was different about Teen Titans was that Teen Titans, I mean, at first it was supposed to be part of the DC animated universe, which is the same universe as the Justice League, Batman Beyond, the Superman animated series. But Teen Titans was willing to go to a different direction, if that makes sense. They just decided to do this where Teen Titans was going to be its own thing, and you didn't have to watch any of the other shows to know what was going on in this series. And that confused me a bit at first when I first saw this show. I was just like, where's Batman? Where's the Justice League? But as the show progressed, I was just like, you want to know something? We don't need them. It's just about these 5 characters. To this day, I still enjoy these characters. I just binge watched the entirety of Teen Titans on Amazon Prime, and I was so thankful that they have this on their streaming service. I was just like, yo! But I was a little bit nervous at the same time, where I've rewatched certain shows from my childhood where some of them are really good to this day, or some of them aren't really that good. Like, I don't want to put out any names, guys, but there's just been some shows where I'm just like, I cannot believe I liked this as a kid. But Teen Titans does not make me cringe one bit. There are some episodes here and there where, could have been better, but Teen Titans, let's talk about it. Hey, fellas of YouTube, this is Robbie speaking, and Teen Titans. So what is Teen Titans about? Well, Teen Titans is about these 5 teenage superheroes, obviously, who fight crime in their city while also trying to deal with their personal lives, their struggles. Like, this show came out when I was 8 years old. When I was a kid, you don't pay attention to writing. You don't pay attention to the acting or anything like that. But when you rewatch something as an adult, you pay attention to these things more. And I was just amazed how smart the writing was. Like, the writers behind this show really knew what they were doing. And yes, it is episodic. Like, there are episodes that don't feel like filler, like main story episodes, if that's what you call it. Like, oh, this season's about Robin, or this season's about Raven or Cyborg. But then some of the filler episodes are actually pretty good as well. One episode that's one of my favorites is the Stranded episode, where they go to this alien planet and you have the heroes separated from each other. Like, you have Beast Boy and Cyborg together, you have Raven by herself, and you have Robin and Starfire together, and they're just dealing with these, struggles where they're testing their personalities, their characteristics. Another thing with Teen Titans was that you can learn life lessons from each episode. And normally, if I wanted to learn life lessons from a cartoon, it would be Hey Arnold, which is amazing, by the way, for those who don't know. Hey Arnold was just great. But anyway, though, back to Teen Titans. Teen Titans, it was like the full package. Life lessons, action, a good story, and comedy. Like, the comedy and the drama balance so well. It's just like that. And the comedy really hits so well. Not just as a kid, but as an adult, where I just can't help but laugh every time they do something funny. Like, all the characters are just funny in their own way. I mean, I remember this one time where they're playing cards, and Robin puts down a card where he's just like, "Tornado, beat that, Cyborg." And then Cyborg's just like, "Well, okay." Booyah! He just puts the card down with that really funny face. And then Robin just responds so angrily, you gotta watch those clips for yourself, guys. That's another thing though, like, the comedy is a bit influenced by funny moments in anime where their heads get bigger, their eyes get bigger, their teeth get sharpened. It's very anime influenced, which brings us into the animation, because the animation actually looks like it came out yesterday and not 20 years ago. Not like some other cartoons that came out before or during or even after Teen Titans. Because I've watched some shows where it just looks like, this is not going to age well. Teen Titans ages like a fine wine. And I just love the character designs. Like, each character looks distinct and unique in their own way. Like, you can actually tell them apart and not see character designs that are just so recycled like certain other cartoons. And I do enjoy some of the backgrounds. Titan's Tower looks amazing. It looks like I just want to live in there. It looks cooler than any other superhero hideout I've ever seen in any type of superhero adaptations. And like I said, this is a little bit of a mixture of anime, but also Western cartoons. Like, it's like DC Comics, like DC Comics animation and anime just fused together to make Teen Titans. Now, some people, when this first came out, some people were complaining that it just didn't look that appealing and just looked too different from the comic book source material. And yes, I have not read the comic books, so maybe that's why I enjoy this better. But I feel like certain other people who have read both the comic books and watched this show can appreciate the animation. But despite this being targeted for kids and having a lot of comedic moments, it has a lot of dark moments. And looking back, I just cannot believe how much I just handled this as a kid. Because there are so many episodes where not many kids shows reach to this day. Like, you have an episode where Robin is just freaking out and seeing an enemy that he has not seen in a long time. You have an episode where Raven is confronting her past, which gets darker as it goes along. You have an episode where Starfire is getting judged by another alien, where this alien is making fun of her because of her alien race. And yeah, that's another thing too. Like, they actually tackle racism in Teen Titans just with aliens instead. So this show just goes deep and deep and deep without scarring children. And I find that very impressive. And let's talk about the theme song. The iconic theme song. Now, this is up there with the Pokemon theme song, the Scooby-Doo theme song. It's just so iconic that every time you think of Teen Titans, you think of the theme song. That's like one of the first things that you think of. And I was just listening to it like 10 minutes ago, and it never bores me. It just never does. It just gets me excited. Like, I have to listen to this theme song before going into an episode. I just want to sing that song for you guys right now, but I already know what's going to happen. I'm going to get a copyright strike just by singing that song. I even feel like if I even hum that song, I'm going to get a copyright strike. So, yeah, just look up the song, guys, if you haven't. But another thing about the music, it's not just the theme song, but also some of the background music. Because each episode, I feel like, has its own song. Like, I remember one time, it was the episode in season 5 where Beast Boy, he brings the Teen Titans to meet the Doom Patrol, the team that he was once part of. And just the music that's playing for the Doom Patrol, the theme song for them, it felt more like a spy thriller action movie. I was just like, wow. I feel like when you give different background music to each episode, it gives that episode its own identity. Now, usually when I talk about the characters, I usually talk about the central character first. But let's talk about Cyborg. Now, Cyborg, as you can see, is part machine. He got into an accident, and before he got into the accident, he was a very, very talented athlete in high school. So when he becomes part machine, he begins to doubt himself. He begins to wonder if he'll ever be a man and ever reach that potential that he could have had when he was just all human. But as when we get to season 3, we see that he is starting to try and figure out that answer. Like, what is the answer to becoming a man? But my favorite episode with Cyborg is when he goes back in time, and this one's called Cyborg the Barbarian, where he has to team up with a group of barbarians, and he has no power, so he has to rely on armor and a sword. That episode to this day just really hits me in the feels. And another thing that I love about Cyborg is that he has so much chemistry with some of the other characters, especially Beast Boy, where they're like brothers. They're pretty much best friends, and they're playing video games together. And I'll get into Beast Boy in just a moment, but Cyborg just always puts a smile on my face every time he just does something so epic, but also funny stuff as well. And then we have Beast Boy, who can turn to animals. And I'm guessing maybe he's a metahuman, which is what they're called in the DC universe. But anyway though, Beast Boy, he's the one that's trying to be the funny guy. Like, he always tries to crack jokes, even when people don't laugh at them, especially Raven. Like, he tries so hard to make her laugh. He's also a bit of a nerd. Like, he just loves playing video games. He loves to watch movies, especially scary movies. Like, there's this one episode where after they fight Control Freak, he tries to rent a movie, like this really scary movie. But I also feel bad for this character because I don't want to spoil too much, but in the second season, like, if you guys know what I'm talking about, how many of you felt bad for Beast Boy in the second season? And then in the 5th season, towards the end, like, oh my god, Beast Boy, like, you're just hurting yourself, man. Like you just want Beast Boy to recover from all the stuff that he went through throughout the entirety of the series. Just Beast Boy deserves happiness. Not just where, like, oh, he's having fun with his friends. I meant, like, he deserves more happiness than what he is given in this series. And now let's talk about Raven. Raven might be one of the most developed characters on the show, because each episode that stars Raven, she learns to grow closer to her teammates, because Raven is antisocial. She cares for her friends, but she just keeps to herself, where she stays in her room, she reads a book, and it only comes out when she has to fight crime. But it's just the episodes where she has to bond with Starfire or Beast Boy that she just learns to come out of her shell. But it's season 4 where it's about her past, how she has to overcome this and help her friends, how she has to save the world. It's just so interesting to see Raven go through that experience. Raven also has the power to use this black-like magic and just summon it by saying Azeroth, Metreon, Synthos. And I don't know if I said it right, guys, but you guys know what I'm talking about. And then we have Starfire, who is a Temeranian, something like that. I can't pronounce the name right, guys, but that's her alien species. And I do find her species a bit more interesting than Kryptonians. No offense to Superman fans, guys, I'm just saying. But anyway, though, Starfire, she's pretty much like an immigrant on the planet Earth, where she's learning more about how Earthlings are like, and just wants to adapt, wants to fit in. And so her teammates help her through that. She sees the good in her teammates, even when they go through the darkest of struggles. Even when they give her some hard times, she just forgives them. She's just a very forgiving person. She's also gullible. Like, she's still trying to get used to Earth customs. So when one time though, in the second episode, they went to this party, and so there were these two guys flirting with Starfire. And so one of them said, like, hey, I'm digging this party or whatever. They used the word digging. And so Starfire's like, I didn't know we were supposed to bring shovels. And she meant that literally. And so they start laughing at her, just making fun of her. And so that's when Starfire's like, I don't know if I really belong on Earth. But it's the Teen Titans that bring her back, that pull her back in. She has very strong feelings for Robin, just like Robin does. And I'll get into Robin in just a moment, but their chemistry works so well. It actually doesn't feel forced. It feels like you want these characters to be together. Also, Starfire can shoot green lasers from her hands and her eyes. and she will definitely use them on you if you mess with her friends. Or if you try to take Robin from her, because there's this one episode where Robin is forced to go on a date, and Starfire has to make sure that Robin does not kiss that girl. It's such a funny episode, guys. You gotta watch it. And then we have my favorite character, Robin, the leader. The one who doesn't have superpowers but kicks so much ass. Even against people with superpowers, against aliens, he just knows how to hold his own. And even though he's technically the sidekick, the former sidekick to Batman, we don't see Batman. He's just mentioned very vaguely, where they don't even mention his name. Robin will just give out references like, oh, I trained with the best. Or you'll see like bats just hanging around Robin. Just those are references to Batman. And yes, this is Dick Grayson because of some of the references to his background. And so anyway though, Robin, despite him being a serious character, he is a very fun, loving character where he's very social, very interactive with all of his teammates, and he's there for you no matter what. Like, he puts his team first before anybody else. Like, hey, Starfire, what's going on? I'm here for you. Hey, Raven, what's going on? I'm here for you. Like, he's just that type of person you need in your life, that type of friend, and maybe even relative for that matter. Like, that's how awesome Robin is as a person. But he has a lot of dark moments, especially with his conflict with Slade, which I'll talk about Slade in a moment, but he's a very determined character. When he sees something and he knows he has to get it, like take down that person, or we have to retrieve this, he takes his job as a superhero too seriously, too personally. And yes, the superhero business is very serious, but you don't have to freak out on your friends. You don't have to lash out on them. And that's what Robin struggles with the most, is just learning to control his emotions. Like, that's the type of leader Robin is. He's a good leader, but he has his flaws. And so it just makes sense for him, because he's trying to be perfect. He's trying to be the perfect hero, but just has a hard time doing it. And that's why I love Robin. And last but not least, we have Slade, who is the only villain that I will talk about in this video, because Slade is like one of the best villains ever, that he needs his own clip in this video. Slade, voiced by Ron Perlman, does an amazing job. Like, you really feel like he sends shivers down your spine as a child. Just Slade, the reason why they didn't go with the name Deathstroke, like in the comics, is because in the show, they can't use the word death. So they used Slade as his name, and Slade is a cool name. Slade is just the perfect adversary for the team, because every time the team goes up against Slade, their eyes get wide open. They know it means business. They know it could mean the end of the town, that he could just destroy everybody. And that's one of the things that makes Robin so determined to beat him. Robin and Slade, it's just like Batman versus the Joker, where they have that chemistry, where Robin knows that if Slade doesn't go down, he can't stop. Like, he has to keep going. He has to beat him. And it's just like what Slade says. I am the very thing that keeps you up at night. I will never rest, and neither will you. I can't do a good Slade impression, guys, but that's the best I can do it. Towards the end of the series, there were some questions that were never answered. And so that's one of the reasons why people want the show to come back. Now, do we really need to come back just for a few questions? I mean, I don't really know, but I would also want the show to come back just to see these characters again. And yeah, I know some people, when they say Teen Titans, they also talk about Teen Titans Go and say that Teen Titans is better than Teen Titans Go. But you want to know something? That is expected, because Teen Titans Go is a parody. You know, I mean, it's just meant to be more of a comedy and not to be taken seriously. But anyway, though, back to talking about Teen Titans. If Teen Titans were to come back, I would be mind blown. I would be excited as hell. But if it didn't come back, you know, that's okay, because we already have a lot of great episodes and a lot of great moments, and not having a reboot isn't going to change any of that. Teen Titans is one of those shows that has very, very little flaws. But that's it. The rest of the show is a masterpiece. It's just one of those series that I'm just so proud of revisiting, and I will probably revisit again. Who knows, maybe 20 years from now or so, or less, whatever. I mean, it may be one of those shows that I'll keep watching and watching and watching until I die. Oh, and there's one more thing. There is a movie, this movie where it takes place in Tokyo. I think it's called Trouble in Tokyo, if I'm not mistaken. That is the true ending to the series. And it's a very good ending. So watch that after you're done with all 5 seasons. What did you think of this series if you've seen it? Did you like it? Did you not? Your thoughts down below. And if you are new to this channel, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Hit the thumbs up button. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I'm Rob A. And may the anime force be with you.